Call me to order. Let the record show all board members are present except Mr. Snuffer. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. Delegations, none. Non-agenda items, none. Communication report. Dr. Hutchins. Ms. Smith. Ms. Hamrick. You want that in the record? The only thing I've got, we had a West Virginia University Extension meeting this morning, and everything is good there. They're excited about Energy Express. Dr. Starcher.
I'm with Ms. Hamrick. I hope we have seen the last of the snow, and we have exhausted all days, accrued, remote, and OSE days at this point. I have communicated with Ms. Hodges. Should we miss any more snow, the high school principals actually have to start working on snow days in order to fulfill their calendar. So we're running out of days at this point. But anyway, that's my only comment tonight.
Oh, thank you. Ms. Lowry.
If you'll look at the ELA, so the first green column tells you what our iReady data was, this mid-year benchmarking. Middle schools did that in December, and elementary schools did that starting January 12th to the 24th. The first white column is where we were this time last year in the mid-year data. So if you'll look, we've had 12 schools gain how many kids are proficient from this time last year. So that's really good, especially having December snow days. And 4 schools stayed the same. So we have 12 schools doing better than they were this time last year. Especially, I'd like you to note Fairdale, who increased 13% from last year, and Marsh Fork, who had a 20% increase in ELA. And then that second column in white is the difference from fall to middle of the year, this year. So if you'll look over at the red column, those are what percentage of students we have 2 or more grade levels below. We had 15 schools do better than last year, which means they have less kids 2 or more grade levels below than the same time last year, and 1 stayed the same. And we have 1 school in the single digit, which is Hollywood. So they only have 4% of their students 2 or more grade levels below. And then if you will look at the progress towards typical growth, that is the halfway of what percentage of students in the average have increased their typical or has met typical growth, which is 1 year's growth. Right now, we'd expect that at 50%, that 50% of the students would have met their typical growth. So any school over that, they're achieving that and more. So just to point out, Fairdale, they had 71% of their students. Shady Spring and Trap Hill Middle had 75% of their students achieving typical growth. And stretched growth is closing the gap, and we would like to see that at 33% right now at this time in the year. We did benchmark a little earlier, so around 30 would be what we expect. So you can see several of our schools have met that in ELA. And then moving to that very last column, which I feel is the most important in the blue, is the projected West Virginia GSA proficiency. Now, if you'll recall, earlier in the fall when we were at Mapscot, I showed how closely that was. It was single digits that the projections met our GSA scores. So right now in ELA, 15 of our schools are projected to do higher than they were projected to do this time last year. And then if this data I think is very important is 5 of our schools, and I'm going to name those. That would be Bradley, Clear Fork, Ghent, Marsh Fork, and Stratton already are more or projected proficiency is higher than their GSA scores were last year, and we're only midway through. So that is really good if we can stay on that projection there, that they would perform even higher, because right now they're above their GSA score from last spring. And so the next 2 pages are math, and I'll share some of that same data with you. So on grade level, it's not as many in math, but you're going to see that math is still doing exceptionally well. We had 9 schools that performed better than this time last year. 1 stayed the same. And schools to note here are Fairdale and Hollywood. Fairdale has done exceptionally well with their growth this year compared to last. And then 2 or more grade levels below, we have 7 schools that did better. So they have less kids, 2 or more grade levels below than last year. 3 stayed the same. And then in single digits, we have Crescent, Hollywood, and Stanford. So I also wanted to point out for typical growth, remember we want it to be about 50. If you look at Trap Hill, they did 90%. So 90% of their students have met typical growth on the average. So half the school's done better than that, and half the school is below 90%. If that makes sense, if you have any questions there. So once again, if we look over at the projected proficiency, so here we have, I forgot to count those. Our county is projected to do better in both in math. We have, count the schools here. I'm sorry, we had 12 schools that are above GSA than they were this time last year. So 12 of our schools are already projected middle of the year to do better than their scores were on the GSA last year in math. So I think that's pretty exceptional. And we were our average was 4% difference than what this was based on the scores. So this is very, very close. So we're super proud of that. Then the next 2 charts you have are just the rankings is what we call them. And their schools are ranked there for you to see in proficient growth from fall to middle of the year, typical growth, and the projected proficiency. So I'm exceptionally pleased to see Hollywood up there. If you recall, they didn't do as well on their GSA math last year. They're doing exceptionally well with math this year. Last year, they had 67% was their score in GSA, and they're projected to do 79% on math this year. So Hollywood is back up there where we'd like to see them. And then if you'll notice Fairdale through those charts, they have done exceptionally well moving up there. And from growth from fall to middle of the year, Stratton was 5th and Beckley 7th. And then Stratton was 6th, or meeting the typical growth. And then we have Beckley 3rd in math for typical growth. So we're seeing some of our schools that traditionally seem to be on the lower end doing exceptionally well. So we're very pleased with that growth. And then this last page is our middle schools. And we met with Mr. Smith yesterday, and I was able to share the data with him. We're super pleased with this growth that they're showing. Their projection for ELA, their projection last year was 32% in ELA, and they're projected to do 38% in ELA this year. And in math, pull that one up. They were projected to do 23% last year and 29% this year, which is higher than their GSA was last year. So Beckley Stratton has done a great job increasing their proficiency and their growth. And then you'll see across the top there that it's good that Trap Hill has really moved up on all of their growth points there. Are there any questions about the middle of the year data? Very. So I'm excited about GSA. Yeah, we've really, really worked hard. The schools have too, and especially with this snow, I'm hoping it won't set us back. So, but statewide we had that. So, anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We have no unfinished business. Policies and procedures. Okay, the above is 30-day comment. Is that the lateral professional you talking
Yes. The lateral professional non-teaching positions, policy C.2.10. This really overall is a cleanup of the policy. And then you will notice some positions have been added that weren't included in the policy but should be. Most of those are listed on the third page. We had several positions in the Office of Special Programs that were not included in this policy, but again should be. So I would recommend this policy be placed on 30-day comment.
Okay, I've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion to put policy
Ford,
C.2.10 on? Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yes. Well, there are multiple directors that are separated. 2.2.3, 2.2.4, 2.2.5, 2.2.6, 2.2.7. Okay. It is. 2.2. If you look at 2.2, that leads in, it says, in making these findings, the board has given consideration to the rank of each position, nature, responsibility, salary, certification, licensure, both, and days in the period of employment. So the current salary structure for the directors sets them apart. You were mentioning 2.2.7. The director of maintenance, technology, and transportation make the same salary. What I would say is I don't set the salary of the directors. Those were set before I even took this position. So Mr. Butcher, during our last budget season, if you recall, every budget season, Mr. Butcher brings the list of each administrator at the district level. He brings their salaries for the current year and what they would be for the future year. And that was all approved during budget season last year. That was 2 years ago. Actually, that request was made 2 years ago, which we did that during the last budget season. Mr. Butcher brought information regarding cost analysis. He brought you information regarding where each of our classifications stood in terms of the state level. And the board, during budget season, did not direct us to change any of the director's salaries. I don't recall. Okay.
wholeheartedly. These things that are considered lateral should not be lateral.
So this is on 30-day comment, though, correct?
It is. It would be. That's my request. Yes. I will just say, if you want, we can just wait till after budget season. So if the board wants to say change director salaries, we can do that. But right now, the positions that are lateral in here are based upon days and based upon salary. I can't make a different recommendation based on what the board has approved for salaries and days for each of the positions.
Then I would recommend that we hold it and not do it.
Okay, we have a motion to hold. And,
Second.
okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, consent items A, B, C, and D. Is there any objection to voting on those all together? Here, no objection. Do I have a motion to approve consent items A, B, C, and D? Okay. Motion's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. New business. Consider approval of the Carnegie quote for professional development.
Yes, thank you. Is that on, BJ? So in your folder, you should have a substantial proposal for Carnegie Learning. I'm bringing this proposal before you tonight. It's a proposed professional development partnership with Carnegie focused on 4 key initiatives that we have talked about to put instruction across our district. What this makes this so unique is that it's not a one-time workshop. It's not a sit and get. This partnership would include embedded, ongoing coaching support. That number 1, the initiative is leadership development, and that's working with our principals in some whole group sessions, but also going into each school, and we're going to develop a new walkthrough procedure and form for our county. Initiative 2 is the New Teacher Academy, where we will be supporting all new teachers, and they will be going in and coaching those new teachers as well at their schools, working with them in their classrooms. Number 3 is another summer initiative, Building Thinking Classrooms, Best Math Practices. This Building Thinking Classrooms is exclusive to Carnegie. It is a program that has been designed to use, you might have seen it in some schools, you're using vertical surfaces, working together. It's not just sit and do your math alone. It's a lot of innovation, hands-on strategies, and this would be a one-time training, the Building Thinking Classrooms. And then number 4 is high yield strategies. And this is for school leadership teams to start. Then Carnegie would work in the schools. So all of these have in school except the Building Thinking Classrooms, where they're going to be coaching with embedded PD. And that's something we can go ongoing. The number 4, the high yield strategies, is what we're proposing to use to replace what we used to call APL. So it's high yield strategies, best practices, classroom management, all of those things encompassed there. So we just feel this is really about building leadership capacity at the school level, strengthening instructional consistency, and supporting teachers in their classrooms, not pulling them out. So that is what this proposal would bring. So the total is all 4 initiatives together. The Building Thinking Classrooms would be funding from federal funds, and the other 3 initiatives would be from teacher leadership induction funding. Are there any questions about this?
Any questions? Okay,
APL just was not working? Is that what you're saying?
We've met several times and discussed it. It's kind of run its course, and they made it very. I mean, I'll just say they made it difficult for us to support that because of the payment options, things that's part of that. We felt like it kind of became stagnant. We went so far, and then we just did not find it to be working.
I think this is quite good. I just get bent up with, we're always looking for something. Changing programs.
Well, the one thing is we made sure we're not asking for a program. This is just helping us with a walk, leadership coaching. Building Thinking Classrooms is a book, so it is, but it's not using, we don't buy any programs with this. It's just PD. So it's just really high yield strategies and engagement. And we've worked with Carnegie with our summer academies and with our Desmos training. So it's something that we felt if we had a one-stop shop that would be beneficial for us. Yes. Yes.
That was a problem.
Yes. So the walkthroughs want it to have the same high-quality instructional practices, speak a common language, and provide actionable feedback to the teachers. And so it's kind of cohesive because they're going to be looking for those high-yield strategies that we're going to start putting into place that they're bringing.
any other questions?
I have one. So this is global in that this is going to touch all schools. It is not school specific.
Absolutely. So number 1 and 4 are all schools, not school specific. Number 2 is any school with new teachers. So we'd have to wait and see. Number 3 is offered to every teacher. And we'd say each school could send so many. And then if we don't have enough from each school, we'll open it up bigger. Same with the summer academy. That's what we're doing there. And they are really focused on and worked with us to say, we want to build that capacity in your school so we don't have to keep coming back.
Any other questions? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the Carnegie quote? Motion's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Consider approval for the middle school algebra 1 option. Well,
Good evening, President Ford, Superintendent Dr. Starcher, fellow board members. I'm actually going to speak to you on the next 2 items. And the first item is looking at offering Algebra 1 in middle school again. I've been in this position for 3 years, and each year it just keeps coming up more and more. Discussions were had with middle school and high school principals as far as where, if we were to offer Algebra 1 as a high school credit in 8th grade again, where should this take place? It was decided unanimously that it needed to take place at the middle school. The thoughts of transporting students to the high school for a class, the logistics of that probably just wouldn't happen due to buses and lots of other reasons. So the decision was made that we were going to look at the model of offering it again in the 8th grade. The bulk of our 8th grade math teachers are, of course, certified to teach Algebra 1. We would, of course, double check that, but that's a norm. Most math middle school people are 5'9" at least. So in looking at offering Algebra 1 in middle school in the 8th grade, it was determined that we would put together pretty much criteria that the schools would have to follow to determine if a student was eligible, and I believe you have a copy of that. They would have to meet 7 of the 7 requirements. I've talked to a few people. I know, it's been many years since algebra was offered in middle school, and in trying to remember why that was changed, there were a lot of different reasons, and one of the things that kept being brought to my attention was they felt like at some schools, anybody that wanted to take it got to take it, but some schools had a little bit stricter guidelines. So, in developing a county-wide checklist of what the students had to to earn in order to be, eligible for Algebra 1, that was a big piece of looking at offering it again in 8th grade. Some of those requirements, as you can see, they have to meet all 7. They have to have a minimum of a 90% average for first and second semester in their 7th grade math course. They have to show maturity, meaning are they the students that are completing their assignments on time, doing what they're supposed to do, in that capacity? Are they engaging in class? I did have someone question, what does that mean? Sometimes we have quiet, shy students. And I said, well, teachers know if a student is participating, and, they may not be the one that says, hey, let me go do that practice problem for you. But if a student is engaged in putting forth all their effort. Are they contributing to class? Same thing. And if they're not considered chronically absent, if a student misses multiple days, the odds of them being successful in Algebra 1 as an 8th grader, of course, would not be as high. A few more of those requirements outside of just being, looking at a 7th grade math class. Did they score at or above on iReady at the end of 7th grade for math? And did they score meet or exceeds on the GSA in 7th grade? We're hoping that, looking at this is the countywide policy, this is the thought process behind the middle school principals was, teachers would complete this and only those students that met these requirements would be given the packet to say, here, your parents and you need to decide if you want to think about Algebra 1. So in that packet that I provided you also included the agreement that parents would sign off, and this would be part of what would, be part of their cumulative folder and all of their transcripts. We need to make sure that if parents agree that, they want their child to take Algebra 1 as an 8th grader, that it counts as a high school credit. It's going to be on their transcript. They're going to have to take a semester exam. They could only retake it if they fail. All of those particulars when you're talking about a high school course. Yes, it's a high school course. The only difference is it's going to be offered in a middle school, but we have to make sure that all parents would understand that it is a high school course. It was also determined that it would be regular Algebra 1. It would not be a weighted like honors or anything like that. That's a big piece that parents would need to understand. The only piece, like in reviewing policy, I do believe there's a few areas of D29 that we may need to change. The language, instead of saying high school credits, and I think it says instead, I think the way D29 reads, I have it here, I think it specifically states grades 9 through 12 year-long courses. I feel like we would probably be better suited if we changed the wording there to say high school credit year-long courses. That way it would cover anything that would ever be, if we were to ever want to offer something else in the 8th grade as a high school course, that would already cover that. So as far as policy goes, that would be my only recommendation that I may have to adjust at some point in looking at, but also each middle school, in thinking about how many students actually are going to be ready and choose to do Algebra 1 as an 8th grader, this would probably be only one section for 8th grade. There would probably only be, around 20, 25 students max at each middle school that would be eligible for this. So I am proposing this afternoon or this evening now, that we move forward in starting to offer Algebra 1 in 8th grade. Any questions? See what happens. Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't have been one of these. I love math, but I would not have been a 8th grade Algebra 1 student. I would have liked to have been an 8th grade Algebra 1 teacher, but. Okay, any other questions about Algebra 1? Okay. Next, I would like to propose to you.
We got to vote on it.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, it sounds like it's positive. Do I have a motion? Motion. All those in favor say aye. Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on my list is to consider approval for addition of courses being offered at Independence High School. I provided you a copy of the standards for adding astronomy, anthropology, history of the Holocaust, and marine biology. The reason Independence High School is asking for approval to add these courses is the bulk of their social studies and science elective courses they work for an elective as a social studies course, like maybe West Virginia State History as the high school course. But they are not courses that give students the points or what is required through Promise. So they are asking to switch out these electives for those courses that Promise will recognize as part of those requirements for them.
Is that they have instructors that can
Yes,
teach it?
yes.
So you're saying they're switching out courses? They're not adding these as additional?
They will still have those, but what they've been offering, the way I understood it, the way they've been offering them to students, they're going to switch out for those students and say, if you're shooting for Promise, we need to make sure you do these. So they will still have those others. So it is, yes, I'm sorry, in addition, but it will kind of be like a replacement for those students that are wanting to focus on getting that Promise.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion? Motion's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, approve superintendent's recommendations for personnel for 25-26.
Good evening, everyone. I know you have a sheet with the corrections highlighted for you, but there is one additional one that just barely made the cut. On page 1, the very first entry, letter A, remove the recommendation for appointment for Brooke Austin. We're going to completely pull that off the records. And then the other two removals are page 3, A and B, both Sharon Daniels under section A and Amanda Hayhurst under section B. Remove both of those moves.
Your recommendation?
My recommendation is as presented with the 3 corrections noted by Ms. Simonko.
Okay, you've heard your recommendation. Do we have a motion? All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. Approve suspension and termination of a teacher.
Caitlin Jeffries.
So do we have a motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. This is part 1 of our meeting tonight. That's all we have on our agenda. We'll take a brief intermission and we'll start the LSIC meetings at 5:30. the recognitions before we start the LSIC. So we'll turn it over to Mr. Dillon. Oh, Michelle,
It's Miss Blankenship and Miss Hodges, yes.
y'all can work together.
I thought they were just going to put you ahead. Good evening, President Ford, Superintendent Dr. Starcher, and board members. So tonight I am honored to formally recognize the students who demonstrated exceptional writing skills by earning a perfect score of a 10 on their West Virginia summative assessment on their writing test last year. And this student is actually now at the middle school, but they did attend Shady Spring Elementary last year, and I'd like to recognize Sawyer Boyd. Thank you.
Good evening again. This evening, I get to also continue to recognize the students in middle school from last year that scored a perfect 10 on the writing assessment for GSA. So, beginning with Shady Spring Middle, Madison Liss. Madison is now a student at Shady Spring High School. Also scoring a perfect 10, Madeline Faber. Congratulations. Yeah, go over here. Congratulations. Also scoring a perfect 10, Farah Mysick. She is also now a Shady Spring High School student. A current Shady Spring High School student that scored a perfect 10, Landon Smith. Representing Shady Spring Middle School, scoring a perfect 10, Lillian Ayers. Braylon Cooper. And let's see, they're kind of in my way here. My last perfect 10, Liliana Lusk. This evening, I will also be recognizing Shady Spring High School students that scored a perfect score of a 5 on an AP exam. Scoring a perfect score on Physics AP, David Carson Carver. Scoring a perfect 5 on English Language AP exam, Roman Jovanovski. This student scored a perfect 5 on English Language AP, U.S. Government AP, and U.S. History AP, and that is Karina Patel. Scoring a perfect 5 on U.S. History, Raina Lustgarten. And my final perfect score of 5 on U.S. Government, Cass Pugh. Thank you.
President Ford, Superintendent Starcher, board members, it's my pleasure tonight to stand before you and recognize the best athletes in Raleigh County, and they're here tonight because they've been voted or they've won achievements in the state of West Virginia. First tonight, we'll start with the 25-26 WVSSAC AAA Shady Spring High School State Golf Champions. You know, when you think of a team sport, the ultimate goal is to win a state championship. The ultimate goal is, I'll call them out one by one. I'll call them out one by one. The ultimate goal is to win a team championship. But when you think about the game of golf, you know, in the game of basketball or even football or a team sport, I might have a bad day and I can lean on my teammate. In the game of golf, it's you against the course. So that's a lot of respect that you have for these young men that are here before you. It is a team sport. Their scores together won a team state championship. But when they're out there, they can't look right or left. They have to look at themselves and perform. So here tonight, we have Coach Greg Daniel and Coach Kenya Smith. And let me say, as they're coming up, Coach Daniel and Kenya Smith are three-time state champions, 2020, 2024, and 2025. So golfers, Mr. Cooper Ward. Tyler Beard. Eli Sexton. Malachi Floor. Cutter Boggs. Grant Winkler. Sam Barnett. And Shade Hedgecock. What's that? They're just not present tonight. Yeah. For sake of time, we're just trying to announce the people that are here tonight. There's more to all the teams that are here tonight. Okay, also tonight is with great pleasure that we recognize some individuals and teams. First, winner of the WVSSAC 2025 Academic Achievement Award for top male band student athlete in middle school from Shea Spring Middle School. This young man achieved this goal based upon his GPA, his test scores, his attendance, and his band accomplishments. He's all-state band, Mr. Corbin Abernathy. Next, we have the WVSSAC 2025 Academic Team Sport Award for middle school. So this winter, they are compared to their other middle school people across the state. They take in consideration GPA and attendance. The school would submit their roster along with their GPA and how well they come to school, and they're voted the number one or the winner in the state of West Virginia. Team Sport Award, middle school, Shea Spring Middle School, cheerleading. So while they're getting lining up, I'll go ahead and announce their names. So they're coached by Miss Taylor Shiflett. Here tonight we have Katie Osborne, Michaela Manning, Savannah Markham, Sophie Phillips, Alyssa Schuyler, Maddie Faber, Kennedy Flowers, Lily McGraw, and Aubrey Myers. Next up, we have the WVSSAC 2025 Academic Achievement Award. This category is Individual Team Sport Award. Once again, it's based upon GPA and attendance. For the middle school in the state of West Virginia, we have girls track from Shady Middle School. Girls track is coached by head coach Phil Colacerto and assistant coach Matt McGinnis. And with us tonight, I see 5 young ladies, and I see 4 names marked. So I don't want to forget somebody's name. So I'll go ahead and call what I have. Maddie Faber, Savannah Markham, Caitlin Osborne, Alexis Snodgrass, and the Alexis Osborne. So moving on to the high school ranks, the WVSSAC 2025 Academic Achievement Award in the category of team sport. Once again, this is based upon GPA and attendance, and they're compared to their counterparts across the state of West Virginia. We're happy to announce the winner, Shea Spring High School Band. So we have the band director, Mr. Tim Fama, Dance coach, Miss Betsy Hagley, Miss Reagan Bennett, color guard coach, Cooper Gibson, drumline instructor, RJ Cook, drill writer, Krista Fama, and with us tonight we have Austin Zook, River Brogan, Jasmine Gwynn, Alex Abernathy, Chandler Gibson, and Josh Plumley. Next, we have WVSSAC 2025 Academic Achievement in the category of Team Sport Award. We have Shady Spring High School football. Our football coaches for Shady Spring, Mr. Vince Colacerto, Phil Colacerto, Corey Handy, Chris Vickers, and Nico Tebow. With us here tonight, Mr. Caden Helmer, Mike Crouch, Rob Lynch, Shade Hedgecock, Cal Colacerto, and Christian Ellis. President Ford, Superintendent Starcher, board members, before you tonight you have 6 state champions of some sort. That's a credit to the young men and women that step before you, their teachers, their coaches, their principals, and of course their parents. We give them another round of applause.
No, not yet.
Okay. Now, wasn't that fun? Congratulate to all the winners and their support staff, parents, teachers, whoever helped you get where you are. So we're going to start our LSIC meeting. This is where we meet with all the schools every year. And before we do that, Dr. Starcher.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Before we dismiss our students and their parents and supporters this evening, I do want to take the opportunity to recognize and announce a difference maker. We started this award last year, the Difference Maker Award, and when we have LSIC meetings, we try to recognize people who are in that district, if there is one to be recognized. So tonight, we are recognizing our October difference maker. We've been waiting for this LSIC for a little bit. If you remember, it had to be rescheduled. So I'm going to read the nomination that we received for this particular individual. I'm going to try to leave out some information until the end. So this teacher is an astonishing teacher at Shady Spring High School. Not only does this teacher teach the hardest courses, this teacher teaches them in a way that makes the toughest of subjects easy. Not only that, this teacher is a devoted track coach who wants distance runners to do the best. This teacher also pushes students into the engineering field by teaching courses that may give students a taste of what engineering is. She is the complete leader, and I can confidently say she, Elizabeth Hagley, has personally changed my life for the good. This came from a previous graduate of Shady Spring, or a graduate of Shady Spring High School. So, Miss Hagley, come on forward.
Congratulations, Ms. Hagley. So we're going to go on with the LSIC meetings. If you're not part of the LSIC, you're certainly welcome to go now. Or you can stay.
Thank you.
Okay, yep. We can go ahead. Welcome, Shady Spring High School.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. President Ford, Board of Education members, Dr. Starcher, thank you for having us tonight. Can't believe this was supposed to be a couple of months ago. But we are glad to finally be able to present to you guys. We have a lot of great things going on at Shady Spring High School, as you were able to see from our presentations. I do want to kind of go back to our Academic Achievement Award winners. First of all, with the band, they are back-to-back Academic Achievement Award winners. I did tell Mr. Fama that he now has as many state championship banners as Coach Olson, and that if he wins one more, that if we don't get it this year, that he can start talking trash to Coach Olson, but you know, we'll see what happens there. And then they did make a note at the Academic Achievement Banquet that this is the first time in the history of the award that a football team has won. So they were very impressed with the fact that our football team won. And this is not divided by classes like sports normally are with single A, double A, triple A, quad A. This is our school going up against every class, private, public. We're up against Wheeling, Park High School, Cabell Midland, all of the schools, and our kids stacked up to them and came out on top. So I was very, very proud of them, and especially proud that they were able to bring both of those banners home. And it's great whenever you can bring home those sports championships, and it's also awesome whenever like you show that on the academic side as well. So, speaking of academics, well, first of all, let me introduce my LSIC. Got a little sidetracked there. First of all, my assistant principals are here, Mr. Pennington and Mr. Lester. I'll let them wave. I have Mr. Fairs, Mr. Fama, and Ms. Radford here as my teacher members. My service personnel member present is Mr. Tommy Bragg. And unfortunately, my parent members could not be here, but I would be remiss to not mention them. Miss Courtney McGinnis, Stacy Heasley, and Maria Lawson. These ladies are amazing. They do attend our LSIC meetings and offer invaluable input, and I really value the information they give us and the advice and their perspective from a parent standpoint. And so I do want to mention them and thank them for their input. And Ryder Dudding is here as our student representative. He is our senior class president. And I also want to thank Ryder. Ryder has been, like, he is school spirit in, like, personified. He has had so many ideas, and student section, like, he's a one-man student section. So he has brought us so many ideas on how to improve school spirit and bring that culture up a notch. And I am so thankful for him because he is not afraid to come to my office and say, hey, can we do this? And sometimes I have to say, no, we can't. But he also is like, has brought me some things that I'm like, yeah, we can do that. Like, let me tell you how we can do this and not break the law. So I really appreciate Ryder and his input. And he actually had a great idea, and we are going to try to do it this spring. He wants to bring the elementary students up to the football field, kind of have like a field day with them. And then at the end of the field day, the seniors start at one end of the end zone, and the kindergartners start at the other end, and then they meet at the 50-yard line, and the seniors hand something to them to symbolize like they're passing the torch. So I thought that was a cute little thing, and he had that idea, and I'd like to make that happen. All right, so now moving on to academics. Our SAT school day that we took last April, we were able to see growth in every area. Our math went from 21% proficient to 25%, which was a 4% increase, or 4-point increase. Our reading, ELA, went from 50 to 68% proficiency, which was an 18-point increase. We were very happy about that. And
so I think the thing we have is backwards. We got 25 and 24. So is that correct then? Are you seeing the handout that we got?
yes, sorry.
So that it should be backwards then.
It's backwards.
25 should be on the right
Yes.
side. Got you. Okay,
Yes.
just want to make sure.
It's backwards.
We
I
wasn't
apologize.
jiving with what you're saying. Okay, thank you.
And then our science went from 29 to 32, which was a 3-point increase. We were able to use the PSAT benchmark last year, which we had the free version last year, and this year we have the College Board that is the paid version, which has been a lot more user-friendly. So we really do appreciate that. And that's been a lot easier for us reporting-wise, as far as being able to analyze those on the administrative and teacher level. And I'll get back to that here in a minute. But, and we also were able to utilize the Mastery Prep Boot Camp. And I think our kids took a lot of things from that as far as strategies, and were able to, and that was right before SAT school day. So I feel like that helped as well. And plus, teachers really focused on those things that they felt like the kids were weaker in. And I'm going to also get to some ways that they did that. So this year we have continued, we wanted to build on that momentum because we were very excited to see that growth. Our parents were very excited to see that growth. That was the thing that we heard in our LSIC meetings. They were very excited to see that our test scores went up. Our teachers were excited to see those test scores go up. Teachers wanted to continue to see student engagement. Parents wanted to continue to see the raised test scores. And of course, students wanted that continued school pride, culture, things like that. And we felt like all of those things tied together. So one of the things we do, and I've got a copy of this so that you guys can visualize, our English and math teachers in the 11th grade classes, or sorry, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade classes, after the students take the benchmark, they do a reflection sheet with the kids, and I'm going to give you a copy of this. So they get one of these for math and ELA, and I just gave you the math one, but they write down what their reading and writing score was, they write down what their math score was, and then what their total score was. So they have all three of those scores. And then this is the math one that they break down. So they break down each one of the categories as far as what their sub-score was. So they can see which area they scored the highest in and which area they scored the lowest in. And you can see that breakdown on questions 5 and 6. What was their highest category? What was their lowest category? And then it asks them that self-reflection question. Do you feel this was an accurate representation of your math abilities? Were you having a bad day? Or was this your best test? Like, do you feel like, yes, this is where I'm at right now? So it forces them to be honest about, did they give us their best effort that day, or were they actually like, this is their math ability? And then what concepts did you feel were completely new that we should focus on before we take the SAT in April? So that question allows their teacher to see, oh my gosh, this concept right here, these kids haven't seen this before. So once they start to see those common themes, they know how to tailor their instruction. They know what they need to focus on so that they're not spending all their time doing functions when they should be focusing on this area over here. So it allows them to see that visually and see where their classes are, because first period may be totally fine in one area, but third period may not be. And then it asks them, each student, to set a realistic goal that they can set for the math section of the next benchmark. And ELA is the same thing, it's just different subsections. And then what is your target score for math on the next benchmark? So if their math score was a 480, do they want to get to 500? Do they want to raise it 20 points? And we tell them where the sets are, like what is approaching mastery, what is mastery. We show them where those are, and then they can say, like, do I realistically think that I can get to mastery, or do I think I can get to approaching mastery? And work with them on that. So that helps them. It gives them ownership. It gives the teachers a view of where they're at, and it also it like gives them something to go back to. So when they take it in the spring, they've got this to reflect on. So that's just something we started last year. I can't take credit for it. Our English teacher, Miss Ayers, she's the one that came up with this. We loved it, and so we decided to implement it with all of our English and math teachers. Any questions about that? Okay. So the next area I wanted to talk about is our behavior and discipline. I know that has been a big area that we have focused on in our principal meetings, and you know, as a county, we want to like work on that. We've seen an increase in discipline this year, and I'm going to break this down for you. As of today's date, we have had 351 discipline incidents. To put that in perspective for you, during the 2024-2025 school year, we had 432 discipline incidents for the entire year. Our ninth graders account for 200 of those referrals, 57%. 10th grade accounts for 88 of those. 12th grade has 38 referrals at 11%, and 11th grade has the lowest number with just 25 referrals, or 7%. 92 of our referrals, or 26%, come from the 10 most frequently referred students, and 9 out of 10 of those are ninth graders. So what our behavior team does, our PBIS team looks at this data every single month. We meet every single month. And what we have noticed is our ninth graders are having issues. And we knew that they were going to have issues because they had issues at the middle school. So we knew this coming in. And so we've tried to tailor our PBIS program to help them. We really have. Are we winning the battle? I don't know. Our goal is to try to see in the second semester, and that's one of our strategic plan goals, is our freshman class to implement our PBIS program with fidelity and see a decrease in discipline referrals from first semester to second semester. And we won't know till the end of the year if we were successful or not. But that is something we're attacking. It is something we are aware of, and we are going to continue to try to make that better. We have had 71 cell phone violations. I know that that is a huge thing with the new law, which account for 20% of our discipline referrals. Those are spread out across all 4 grade levels. They're even. Of those 71 cell phone violations, we've only had 2 repeat offenders. One of them only repeated once and got ISS, and one of them has repeated twice, so they did get OSS, which I think is pretty impressive that of 71 cell phone violations, we only have 2 repeat offenders. And speaking of PBIS, our PBIS team went back to the drawing board this year. We completely revamped our PBIS program. Because last year we had our positive referrals and we had the team and we developed ABC, which stands for Attend, Behave, Commit. We decided to keep it really easy so that our kids could, get that in their heads. But we still knew that we were missing something. And at the high school level, we don't want to, we're not going to do treasure box. We're not going to do that. We have to make it relevant to high schoolers. Keep that in mind because I'm coming back to that. So we started the year with a pep rally where students were introduced to our button system. And I have gifts for you guys. Mr. Lester is going to be my Vanna. So at the beginning of the year, we had a pep rally. Everybody got a lanyard, just like you are getting now with Shady Spring High School. And we told them throughout the year, you're going to have a chance to earn buttons for attendance, behavior, and your commitment. So we're going to have random days of attendance where you can get buttons for attending school. So far, we've had the first day of school button. We have had the 67th day of school button, which we have one of those for you guys. We gave them a Halloween button. We gave them a day before Thanksgiving school button, the day before Christmas, because we all know that those are days that we have lower attendance. One of our favorite days so far was a day that the cooks actually brought to us because our kids love pepperoni rolls. It's their favorite day of the, favorite day. So our cooks wanted to do a pepperoni roll day button. So that's what you're getting now is the pepperoni roll day button. And the cooks specifically asked for that. So when we gave the kids these buttons, everybody that got hot lunch that day got a pepperoni roll button. And we told them, this is from the cooks, guys. So we made that connection between the cooks and those buttons. And then, as you all know, we lost a teacher on January 20th, Mr. Beckett, who had served Raleigh County Schools for over 30 years. And our school was hurting, and we still are. And we did do a button in memory of him. His favorite team was Alabama, and we at his funeral, he got a bunch of Alabama or WVU fans to say "Roll Tide." But we did put Alabama in the background and a message on there, what would Beckett do, because he always was telling the kids what they needed to do to do it right and to follow the rules. So that's a constant reminder for them. So those are our gifts to you from our PBIS program, and gives you a little bit of an idea of the kinds of buttons we give out. There are a lot more that we have, and we give them out for every single senior night we have. We have one that we're going to give out for the FFA events that are in the spring to encourage kids that go to that. Just giving them an incentive to participate in the activities that go on at the school. And then we will have prizes for the kids that have the most buttons at the end of the year, that have participated and like gotten the most things at the end of the year. The other thing that we have with, and I also did a handout for you guys on what we gave to our students on the buttons. So you can see a visual of that. And it also has our ABCs on there. And then the last thing we have with our PBIS is we are also implementing Minga. Minga is a hall pass system which tracks our students if they sign out of class to go to the restroom, but it also has a PBIS component that allows teachers to assign points for positive behaviors. It also allows us to put things on Minga, like polls and stuff like that, that students can participate in that gives them points. We can also award points for attendance, and we give them points for 4.0 things. And they accumulate points both individually and as grade levels. And they have this competition now where they are competing against each other. Also, we opened up the Minga store today. It's the first day of it. We finally got all our stuff to open up the Minga store. And I said I was coming back to the treasure box. I said we are not doing a treasure box. The two most popular items from our Minga store today, this fidget ring and this stress cube. And these, we had 80 of them, and they sold out. 15 Minga points apiece for these. These were 10 Minga points apiece, and we almost sold out of these. So, as Mr. Fairs told me, they were right. We needed a treasure box all along. Because these were our hot commodities. So, I have a handout on the Minga point system as well, so you can get a look at that. And these are posted in every classroom so that the kids have a constant visual on that. So, I feel like we're moving in a positive direction. I feel like we have a lot of student, staff, community support. I feel very supported as a principal. And, you know, we as a school, we always have needs, but as far as like where we're heading, we feel very good about where we're heading. Yes, we have room to grow, but everybody, even we're state champions, we still have room to grow. So, like, the wisest mind still has something to learn. So, we are very excited to keep growing. We're very excited to keep getting better, and you know, always keep striving for excellence. So, I will be happy to take any questions at this time.
Any questions?
Got it going? Ryder, come up here to the mic. You're a senior,
Yes, sir.
second semester, so you're safe. You can say anything you want to. Grades are in. You're good. You're good. You're good. So I always ask these two questions. What's the greatest thing about being a student?
You know, I was thinking about what to say, because she had asked me. She said, "Do you want to speak?" And of course, I said no, because I don't want to, you know. But the best thing by far, and it's not even close, it's the teachers. And I look at it, and before I took this position as the president, I looked at it and I said, you know, we need more community. We need more people to come to the games and do this stuff. And I thought to myself, a very selfish thing, I thought, I'm going to have to do it all myself. I was like, you know, it's been the same for years, whatever. But then with these people, with this principle we have, it's such an easy task to do what I want and to grow this culture like we want to grow it. And at this beginning, this meeting we had at the beginning of the year, we spoke about all these things that we wanted to do. And they were very intricate thoughts. And I know they're not up here, but they're so smart, the things they think, and they told me what they wanted to do and how I could help them. I said to myself, I was like, okay, so let's think. A few of those things, we wanted culture. We wanted, what she said, we wanted test scores. Of course, everybody wants test scores. And I looked at it and I said, okay, well, if they're on board, I'm on board. And it has been so easy to be the president here. And frankly, I'm grateful. It's a blessing because I get to take a little bit of the credit. I get to take the student credit being here, and they're so kind to me and they're so easy. That's the easiest thing, that's the best thing. But for your second question, the best thing that I've taken from it is, first of all, not to brag, but we have fantastic teachers. And that's no joke. They're smart. They're great. They're right there. They tell me what's real. They don't sugarcoat anything. And they teach me things that I want to know. And I think it's kind of rare to find that. I have relationships with my teachers. And that's, you know, half a blessing of being in a small school. You know, not like a massive school like, per se, Woodrow or anything like that, where it's like, it's hard to maybe have a relationship with your teachers. But here, it's like, I know every single one by name. I know their lives. I know everything. I mean, just like she said, we're best friends. I walk in her office and we talk. Like all the time, I just ask her things, and yeah, she shoots me down sometimes, but who wouldn't, you know? And I think it's such a blessing knowing that even though I'm going to graduate in a couple months, I can come back and feel at home in this community. Even after I go to WVU, even after everything, I can come home and know that they're going in the direction that's, just like she said, it's incredibly positive. And I think that is so important. Security in schools. I think I brought that up at our first meeting, and it's something I feel very, I don't know how we would do it, and I mean, that sounds terrible putting it all on you guys, but I think it's so important. And my friends, everybody that you saw here, I don't think they would say the exact same thing, but they would feel a certain way about it. We want security. We want to feel safe, and I think we do because we're in a small school, but I can see a place like Woodrow, or like she said, all over the state, where it's like, I think that we have to understand these kids' futures and we have to put more security. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. I look at yes. I'm going to go to WVU, and I think I'm going to do biology to be a dentist, but, you know, it's going to be pretty hard. Hey, I like that. Hey, look at the belt. Got the belt on right now. I'm a little nervous to go, but, you know, it's future. You got to do it. Thank you, guys.
Some of them are. The one that I do know is that 92 of them are by the top 10 most referred students. So 10 of them make up 92 of the referrals. Yeah. Like 26% of them are coming. Oh, and one more thing I do want to mention. One thing that we've been working with Ms. Hodges on and Gear Up is the difficulty of ninth grade transition, 8th to ninth grade transition. And so our leadership team had a chance to meet during one of the snow days that we had a PL day. And when we started working on our strategic plan, and we looked at our goals and what direction we wanted to go, and we were like, if our data is showing us that our problems are in the ninth grade, why do we not write our goals to address ninth grade transition? So three of our 5 goals are going to focus on ninth grade transition specifically, and we're going to track our incoming ninth grade group. Now, our behavior goal is going to stay with our ninth graders. we're gonna keep our eyes on them because we feel like we owe it to them to stay with them and make sure that they continue to be successful and improve that group, and that make them feel more secure, help them be successful so that they don't continue to have this reputation of no problem.
Thank you. Well, welcome, Shady Spring Middle School.
Hello. Good evening to our board members and Dr. Starcher and our directors behind us. Sarah Davis from Shady Spring Middle School. I have with me Jeff Hayworth, my assistant principal. Brandy Klein, she's my wellness teacher and also heads up our Game Changer program at school, and she's doing a great job with it. We have Matthew Harvey, West Virginia history teacher. He took our History Bowl to the States last year, so we're looking for a repeat on that this year. Have Pam Fraley, my autism teacher. She does a phenomenal job. That classroom is something to behold. She's wonderful. And I have one of my parents with me, Tina Lilly, who next year will be one of my teachers. So my dad always told me to surround yourself with a good staff, and I do that, and they make me look good. So I followed his advice on that. All right, put my readers on. All right, we'll go over, I'll start with our test scores. Our math percentage of proficient students did go up from 38 to 42%. Our reading was 48, went up to 49. And our science did go down. Had a little trouble in 8th grade, working on our science, but that's a work in progress. We had a long-term sub last year, a couple different ones, but we do have 2 teachers in place. They're both phenomenal, so we're looking forward to, we think those will go up. I broke it down a little more per grade level because it only shows, like in our reading, we went up 1%. But if I look at our 6th grade, In math, we had an increase of 5%, and I don't think that's on there. Our ELA stayed the same, but it was still 52.5% proficient. So that's still really well. Our 7th grade math had an increase of 18%, and our 7th grade ELA had an increase of 7%. So we're really proud if you break it down per grade level. We had a lot of growth. Our 8th grade class, which is Miss Vickers' 9th grade class, we had some struggles, some things we had to work on. Our scores were lower than the previous year, but sometimes, things happen. But we feel that they will be up. But overall, we had great test scores. We were very proud of them again, since if you look at it broken down by grade level, we really see a lot of improvement. Some of our concerns for this year, we have a percentage of chronically absent students we want to work on, and we want to increase the number of students who are on grade level in math. So we had our mid-year reading diagnostic already back in December, and in 6th grade, we had a 5% increase of students that are on or above grade level. We had a 9% increase from our 7th grade who are on or above grade level, and a 7% increase for our 8th grade. So we were really pleased with that. And sometimes that mid-year one, they kind of struggle with, and that was right before we had our extended month vacation. So, we were lucky to get it in, but they're doing a great job. My teachers are, really doing well with the small group instruction. We use our iReady data and our ALEC to group them together. In our AA, that's when we do our small group, is in AA. We have other teachers that will pull them out to see what else they need to work on. The math teachers also like the ALEC program that goes along with our math program. It really breaks down the standards too that they need to work on. So we're very lucky to have that to use with it. Our chronically absent, this time last year, we have 73% less chronically absent students from last year to this year, 73% less. I don't know if Mr. Vickers, well, no, yeah. Mr. Vickers is my ISS teacher, but he also helps with our 3, 5-day, and 10-day, our MTSS, and he does a phenomenal job. He calls the parents. He has an awesome Excel sheet that he keeps track of. He sets up the meetings. We pull them in. We have the team leaders with us. We talk to them to see, what the parent needs. Did he need to put him in touch with, a resource bank for food and clothing? Sometimes it's things like that. Their child didn't want to come to school if they don't have a code or feel self-conscious about what they wear. He keeps meticulous records. We have incentives, attendance incentives. We did just have one end of January for perfect attendance because, of course, we want all kids there. But perfect attendance is still, that's an awesome thing. We do like to reward students for improved attendance, but it's still, that's a great thing. So we took them bowling. They had a really good time there. Mr. Hayworth went. Ms. Klein, did you go? No. Yes, Mr. Hayworth got to go bowling. So I don't think he had perfect attendance, but we let him go anyway. No, I'm joking. I can't say anything about perfect attendance. But they had a really good time. And they get a kick out of seeing, their assistant principal there. It's like when you're out in Walmart and they think you don't ever leave your house or school. So our math, like I said, we're focusing on our small group, our tier 2 instruction. Our teachers do data chats with our students, with our iReady, so they can see what they made, the beginning, middle, and end, and what they need to strive for. They keep track of how many lessons they have passed. We want them 45 minutes, but the main thing is we want you to pass. You know, you can whip out 5 lessons in a week, but if you don't pass them, that doesn't, you know, do any good. And in middle school, all of our teachers, our social studies and science teachers, and Ms. Klein comes in, they also have access to all of the iReady. It's a little trickier than in elementary school. You have the one class, that teacher has access, but in the middle school, only the reading and math teachers have access, so we have to give access to the social studies teachers, you know, West Virginia history, PE, Miss Fraley's students, so that way it's, you know, across the whole school and we have something consistent. I'm going to talk about our behavior. This time last year, we had 141 DRFs. As of right now, we have 72. And Ms. Vickers, they're doing everything they can to, you know, that behavior tends to, you know, sometimes you just have a class you have to work a little harder with, and there's great kids in that group. But Mr. Hayworth and I are tickled that our attendance or our discipline has gone down a lot, and the teachers are doing a great job with the level 1 and level 2, keeping track of those in the classroom. We have the flow chart that they use, so, you know, Mr. Hayworth and I don't get a DRF for, you know, something trivial. If they throw a pencil, not that, you know, you don't want to hit anybody, but they're doing a great job. They use the PBIS website that gives them ways to find different interventions to help with the kids. Carrie Shepard, we have an intervention log that she uses. She does a great job keeping track. We do have incentives for the kids. They have tickets they come in, ROAR tickets, and drop off in the office. And we have random drawings. And we have T-shirts. We have a wheel they get to spin. So they like that to see what's on it. And one of the choices, which I don't know, my directors might want to close their ears. One of the choices is they don't have to do iReady for the week. But it's, I know that sounds bad, but it's just something that they get tickled about, and they still already have their minutes. They have the Alex. They get a T-shirt. They get to eat lunch with their friends. We take them in the gym. When it's pretty, we have the picnic tables. They get to go out and do that. Miss Klein's had a few little things in the gym. Was it Gotcha? At Gotcha, where they get to come in and play while, you know, lunch is finishing. So as they finish, they come on into the gym. So anything like that. We've only had 3 or 4 cell phone violations, and it's really helped having a little more teeth in that. We had that policy anyway, not having the phones. That made a world of difference in DRF with Mr. Hayworth and I, because a lot of times come Monday, our discipline issues were from a student's cell phone and social media, and that, you know, filtered into everything. So the fact that their cell phones are in their locker, they don't always feel like they have to check them and miss something, and that's really, it makes a huge difference in the culture of the school. So we appreciate that we have that to fall back on, and they've done a great job with it. Let's see, what are some things that the board can do to assist? Main thing with our curriculum, we have asked for a fence outside, and we are going to work on a playground grant. Miss Fraley and Miss Brammer's students need somewhere to go outside with a fence around it. We want all of our students to be able to go out and exercise, get fresh air, but the main goal of what we have is safety, is student safety. So we are wanting to work on that and be able to provide that for all of them, so all students have that, you know, ability to go outside and be safe. And, you know, they've talked about having, you know, outdoor science room, different things like that. So we would be appreciative of that. Our flexible seating, last year we were able to get some new tables, Dr. Starcher and Mr. Wizenot, and that helps where they are doing small group. When you have desks, it's just hard to, you can scoot them around, but it's noisy. But some of our teachers have the desks that you can fit into different configurations, and those are really handy, and the kids like it. They think it's neat when they can move their seat around. Our staff development, we're doing well. We're on our Tier 2 PBIS. We have our bronze. So just providing that more professional development for the teachers on different things, the PBIS and everything. Like I said, they do utilize the website, which is helpful. It has a lot of different resources on it. Facilities, we did have the carpet removed last year in the office and the library. That made a huge difference, and they just came out and measured for the band and the choir and the teacher's lounge. So that was one thing we did ask for, because the carpet has been there since the school, and you can only clean something so many times, and it doesn't get any better. So we're very appreciative of that. We did put on there maybe some new paint sometime. Our school is getting older. Like I said, it's been there 25 years. Doesn't seem like it. Mr. Hayworth and I have been there since almost the beginning. I do want to brag on our students, which we had our SSAC, not only in academics, but that is musical, athletic. They do a great job. We had 3 Golden Horseshoe winners. Our History Bowl team last year went to states. This year we have 2 students advancing to the regional math field day. We have members on the all-state choir that went to Morgantown this past weekend. Miss Carr, my 8th grade math teacher, she started up a 4-H club and an esports this year. So I remember 4-H, when I went here at Ghent having it, and then when I taught at Beaver, we had 4-H. So we're getting back into that. And we've had quite a few kids. I think she had maybe about 10 with esports. It's just a different avenue for students to, have something to do. And her son went to Concord on a scholarship with esports. So it's really good trying to filter that in. And she asked if she could do it, and I said, yes, we'll do whatever you need. If you want to try, I'll support you any way you can. So you tell me what you need, and we'll go that direction. We did have 4 students selected to participate in the West Virginia 2026 All-State Middle School Band. And Shady Middle was the only school in the county that had any that will be representing in that. Our 8th grade student, Reese Childers, she was the county winner for the I Voted sticker contest. So she will now go on to the regional semifinals. So we were excited about that. That's a really great accomplishment. So she did really well. And let's see, I said our all-state choir, but Shady has a great staff. We have great kids, our academics, our athletics, our band, Miss Fama, what they do, they're phenomenal. And we all work together, and we're trying to keep improving and excelling in everything. So, thank you very much.
Any questions? Thank you. Testing.
Good evening, board members.
Welcome,
and
Daniels.
Thank you. It's been a long evening. I hope you guys are not tired of listening to all of us yet. First of all, I wanted to say thank you guys for allowing us to present our school LSIC information to you guys. I do want to introduce our LSIC members. Some of them are here, some of them are not. Of course, myself, and then we have a teacher, which is Miss Johnson. She teaches 5th grade. Let her wave. Another teacher is Miss Devin Graham. She teaches kindergarten. Another teacher is Miss Jacqueline Adams. She teaches kindergarten. Our service personnel representative, one of them is Linda McGuffin. She is one of our autism aides. Another service personnel member is Miss Judy Hicks, but she cannot be here. She's one of our bus drivers. One of our parents is Xenia Snuffer. Another parent is Ashton Adam. They could not be here this evening. Another parent is Carl Gove. He is here tonight. At large member, we have Graham Excavating that is representing. We do not have anybody that represents City National Bank or Padrinos. And our student representative, which is not here with us tonight, is Jude Gove, which is Carl's son. So the first thing that I want to start with is our major concern. And I'm just going to follow through with our report straight from the top to the bottom. The major concern for Daniels Elementary was our math scores. We had not been improving for math in the last couple years, and we kind of remained stagnant. And we had put some things in place to try to improve that. One of the things that we tried to do, or we are doing, is we departmentalized for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade this year. Previously, we had did self-contained, but when speaking to the teachers, they were on board and actually suggested it at first. So we had one person that taught reading, one person that teaches math, and another one, depending on the grade level, like 5th grade, Miss Johnson teaches writing and science, and she's doing a phenomenal job with that. The kids are really excited. One of the other things that we're doing is small groups for math. And I'm going to try to divert your attention just slightly. If you look in your folder, I attached another paper. The people in the back have it attached. You guys have it in the three-pronged folder. So if you look for our math proficiency, I have the quadrant activity that people do for this, but I put it here so you guys could see that at least 3 of our grade levels are performing with high performance and high growth. 2 of them are high performance with low growth, and that means that they were already pretty high in those areas, so the growth is not as large. And then we have the little outlier there at the end, and that is 4th grade for math. And we already knew going into this that our 3rd grade struggled last year with math proficiency, so we had started small group interventions for math, and we grouped them by skill levels, and each week they would change groups based on what skill they needed to improve on. So after looking at this middle of the year benchmark, we feel like we need to go ahead and implement that again, because they're still right there in that cusp where they're not performing where we need them to be. I feel like the 1st and 3rd grade were already performing high, so there's low growth. Math was kind of like they were already there, but they were just not quite. So there's a couple of things that we need to do, because we don't want them to regress, because they already had that growth to begin with. The other thing is one of our 4th grade teachers, this is her 1st year teaching math, and I feel like she's still working the kinks out. She's a phenomenal teacher, and she really can delve into our iReady groupings, but I feel like all of us working together, especially with Miss Cooper, where she taught math forever at Crescent, that she is bringing that insight to us to help us put everybody on the right track. So if you look on the next page, you can see at this point in the school year that our students have met 50% growth. We are halfway in the school year, so I feel like that is a pretty good accomplishment that we're halfway there already. You can also see that we have 37% of students that are on grade level, and then we have the ones in the middle, 51% that are 1 grade level below, which we already have plans to improve on. And then we have the 11% that are still struggling, which is our special ed population. If you look down at the bottom on the next page, you can see that our overall placement, a little bit bigger in case you have old eyes like me. The next page shows you our math standards. And with our math teacher, I will say that part of the reason I feel like the fifth grader that hasn't progressed as much, she was out a little bit and we had a substitute. And even though that person is certified, it's not like the real classroom teacher. So we're still trying to put some things in place to help them get back on track and try to make sure that our scores are accelerating and the students just don't know the skill, they're applying the skills to the concepts. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is reading, even though that wasn't our primary focus and it wasn't our, our deficit, but I wanted to show you that first grade was the only grade level that was a little bit lower. And the reason behind that is they're right there at that corner. You see that. That group, we have a lot of students in that position. And a lot of our first grade students, we've had a high enrollment of new students that had never been at Daniels before. And I feel like that is always something that we need to talk about because they didn't have that kindergarten foundation that our school already has with our phenomenal kindergarten teachers. So if you look here, grade 5 is, they have high performance and low growth. And again, when you have high performance, there's not going to be as much growth because they're already performing at that level that they're supposed to be. So if you look at the last page, you can see the most recent diagnostic. So you can see that at this point, we have about 54% of our students that are on level, which I feel like is pretty good at this point in the year if we are comparing the iReady to what the students are going to do on the general summative assessment. All right, so I'm going to move on. I've talked about our corrective action for trying to improve those math scores, especially for 4th grade. I also want to talk about our split level class because we have a teacher, there's 11 students, there's 2nd and 3rd, and even though those 3rd grade students are not getting that departmentalization, we are definitely sharing the lesson plans and the skill grouping ideas so those students are still getting the same instruction even though they're not getting it from the departmentalized teachers. Another thing that we are continuing to do is the multiplication masters. So for 3rd grade, the students, once they have covered the multiplication tables all the way to 12, they are allowed to come to the principal's office and try to get 100 multiplication facts all correct. And if they pass or if they get all of them, they get a little shirt that says multiplication master. And the kids are really excited about that. One of the other things that I do is I go into the 3rd grade classrooms and I do small group math proficiency with multiplication or small group during their small group time. So even though they're departmentalized, there's 3 different times that I'll go in and try to help the students, and they get really excited that they see the principal in there teaching as well and interacting with them. So again, we also do the PLC where we try to delve a little bit deeper into why the data looks the way it does. We actually have some data talks scheduled for next week to try to put some extra plans in place to make sure our students are on track. So moving on to the next part is the curriculum. And even though math was our focus, I don't feel like behavior is one of our main issues at Daniels Elementary. We have had 25 students that have had a DRF, but when you have a population of almost 500, that's not too bad, and we kind of know the issue. So I don't really want to go into that because our PBIS, I feel like, is amazing, and if we didn't have that in place, we would probably have a lot more behavior issues. However, even though there's behavior issues, I feel like social emotional learning is where our students are lacking, just because we have a higher population of students now coming from substance abuse homes and trauma, and us trying to make sure that the whole child is taken care of. Sometimes the academics are put to the side to ensure that they're fed or they're clothed, or if they just need a hug, because that's more important. They can't learn if they're not emotionally ready. So with that being said, the character strong curriculum that our county purchased is phenomenal. our teachers love it. With this, with that behavior, it talks about kindness. It talks about, using your words. And sometimes students with trauma, they don't understand anything but either acting out or screaming or running. And maybe one of the things that I wanted to talk about is I feel like our school may need like an LSIC, or not LSIC, Community and Schools Liaison. We have a full-time counselor, which is here, Jordan, right? Where's she at? Okay. And I don't think I mentioned you all. I'm so sorry. I apologize. She is a great asset to our school, but she's only one person with 500 children. And we are trying to make sure that we're documenting the times that she works with the students, but sometimes one person is not enough. So Ms. Cooper and I have been, implementing strategies with those students that we know need that support. But sometimes it's out of our expertise, and we're not a title funded school. So we're one of those that I feel like that extra support would help us with the trauma and the SEL. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was the professional development for that. Even though our teachers are phenomenal and we are trying to make sure that we focus on academics, I feel like our teachers need some more professional development on dealing with students from trauma. I had a teacher or a staff member at one point say, our school used not to be like this. And I had to tell them, our world used not to be like this. And we have to adapt to that change. And if we are having to just let the students talk and get it out so they can focus on school, then that's what we need to do. Because again, the whole child, we have to focus on that emotional aspect. And sometimes we don't have the staffing in our buildings. And I know budgets and all that kind of stuff is always mandated by it, but sometimes just having an extra person to pull the kid and just letting them get it out, letting them draw or letting them talk about their feelings and things that are going on at home. Because again, we have one counselor for 500 children, and it's a little bit hard when it comes to that. And I also feel like the bus drivers need that training. Even though we don't have very many issues on our buses at all, our bus drivers, I keep saying amazing, but we really do work together very well with everybody. And if we ever have an issue, they work with us and say we'll try to figure out what the problem is. They talk to the parents, they call the parents. But sometimes those bus drivers that might be substitutes, they don't know the background. And if a kid's acting up on the bus, they need some other strategies to deal with the kids from trauma or noticing those little things that we notice every day in the classroom. Because you never know, they may feel more comfortable telling the bus driver than somebody here in our building. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the personnel. And the main thing that I feel like, if possible, and I know that I'm not the one in charge with all the budgets, but our preschool classrooms are really, I feel like this is a countywide issue, is just needing that extra support. We have 3 classrooms at Daniels, and almost half of all 3 of those classrooms have students with IEPs. When you take that into consideration, the diapers and changing and putting them on schedules, whether that's speech services, Miss Wright, Miss Cooper, and I are always stepping in as needed. I have it on my schedule. My phone goes off all day long because I know at the times that there's transitions and that kind of thing. And I don't care at all to step in and change a diaper or whatever, but sometimes when you have half of the class that has an IEP and we're trying to change diapers, it's a little too much on 2 people. Even though they're doing it, that's just one of the things that we want to talk about. And I know that's a state issue. Like, it's not just a county thing, but I did want to bring that up. The other thing is the class sizes. Of course, we know, again, small classrooms work really well. And I feel like sometimes having 28 students in 4th and 5th grade is really hard to make those skill groups efficient and to the point, and especially where our 4th grade is struggling this year, it's really hard for those teachers to try to work with 28 kids to make sure that they're on level. Again, we know the research behind that, but I did want to bring that up. For our facilities, I feel like, I do appreciate that our school was deep cleaned at the beginning of the school year. starting fresh. That's always a good thing. A couple of updates that we wanted to focus on is the library. Even though our library, it's beautiful and the students love going into our library with all the books, it's very dated. It's between 20 and 25 years old. And I really feel like you see these other schools that have a fun and engaging atmosphere where the kids really want to go in. Even though they love it, it would be nice to, kind of have some updates with some color or, natural. We have lots of beautiful open windows with that natural light, but just to have something a little bit updated that helps the students feel like it's engaging and friendly. Another thing what I wanted to mention is our parking lot. We have 75 staff members, and even though we have that loop that goes around the school, there's not parking. The loop is amazing. It's even extended now with that playground, with the new playground. But if we have any parent events, there's no parking. Most of the time, I will be telling the staff, try to park in the grass, try to park over here and out of the way. And I know that there's different areas, if possible, just to have parking because they're parked out at the road, they're on the side, they're in people's driveways, and they get mad at us. But if there is a way to extend our parking lot, I think that would really help, especially some of the parents that have mobility issues trying to get to our building. I had even offered to shuttle some of them, to and from wherever they're parking, just to make sure that they don't feel like they don't want to come to our events because they can't make it that far walking in. The other thing, and I know that this is a lot of money, but our sign is very dated too. I go by some of the signs and they got the flashing lights and that kind of thing. Our PTO has stepped up and helped us with the sign out there because in our building where the sign is so far away from the main school, we have to drive out there or drive back with all the letters and that kind of thing. And I don't even know if the Wi-Fi would actually reach that far, but that's one of the things that we think that would make it a little more exciting. I know that we have had kids go and register at Shady because they didn't even realize Daniels was, close. So just having something a little bit more enticing to get our parents and students a little more excited about coming to school. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is our accomplishments. And even though this is not in here, I wanted to announce because Shady had all those high school accomplishments, which was amazing. But our volleyball team got first place in the county this year. They were undefeated, so I wanted to make sure and announce that. That was a big thing. They went undefeated, and our coach worked super hard. And even though our basketball team did not get first place, they got third, which is a huge accomplishment as well. I know elementary athletics had a little bit late start, but we are super proud of the hard work our students and coaches did on that. The next thing I wanted to talk about is our playground. If you guys have not seen this playground that they are building at my school, I love it so much. It is bright and it is colorful. And yes, it is awesome. There's purple and there's green and there's black and there's a brand new basketball court, y'all. The kids are so excited about it. And I do want to let you guys know we want a ribbon cutting ceremony. I'm trying to plan that. So I want you guys to come, hopefully, if you can. But just because I think that this is going to be a great event for our community because the parents have watched it be built. They've been indisposed a little bit because of the snow, and just, sometimes we've had to let out early because of the construction. But it is going to be so worth it because the kids are just ecstatic about it. So I wanted to mention that as well. The other thing is I know the preschool playground will be eventually coming soon. I've saw some of the designs and they're working, and I just think that having a playground where the kids love to come to school might help boost our attendance a little bit too. Even though Miss Cooper is trying super hard to increase that. She's doing a great job, but I really want to make sure you guys know how thankful we are for that. The painting is always a good thing, like the rails and the updates that was done this summer. But that playground, I just want to tell you guys thank you so much for thinking of Daniels and allowing our students to have the opportunity to have that amazing playground coming soon. All right, I think that's it. Do you guys have any questions for me?
1 second. Just give me a second here. Do you you were talking about your split grade? You were talking about your IRA scores. Have you looked at their IRA scores for that split grade? Are they in line with what you thought they should be?
I think they are. When we delve into it a little bit, there's four third graders in that class, and two of them have an IEP, so their scores are a little bit lower. But it's kind of typical, and it goes like what we were expected. But the other two are really forging ahead and being role models for those other students. Now, second grade, it's a little bit iffy just because a lot of those students that came in for that new enrollment were also in that class. So some of their scores are a little bit lower, but I always bank that on they didn't have that foundation of kindergarten, first grade at our school that is consistent. Mm-hmm. They come from all over. different counties, different states. You just name it, and then they'll leave and they'll come. Like somebody else will come in. Yeah, that group is very transient. Yes. Yes. Exactly. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes. Yes. And I know if I'm looking out from the school, the left side, they had put in a water vault and a fire hydrant. So, like, I know that all of that area, like, might have to be open. I don't know the requirements or anything with that, but I know that that area also belongs to Daniels Elementary. Or Raleigh County Schools, maybe not Daniels. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Enrollment at this point, before we left, today it was 492. Yes. Which is a lot lower than it used to be, but it's still a lot of kids.
Any other questions?
Miss Reeves, I do apologize if you did this already, but I don't think you did. Did you introduce Miss Cooper as your assistant principal?
Yeah, I might not have just left both
You've
of those
referenced
out.
her.
Like, they're in the office with me all day, so maybe it's just because I don't pay attention. They're always around me.
You've referenced her as you spoke, but I don't think we introduced Katie Cooper. So this is Miss Cooper. She's yeah. So Miss Cooper, well, Miss Reeves, Jada Reeves. I have to say it to get the.
It's okay
if it's an S or not. Obviously, she's the new principal this year, and then Miss Cooper. This is her first administrative position as assistant principal. So I just wanted to recognize both of them and thank you for what you're doing at Daniels. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I was just talking to a friend of mine the other day who said she went to Concord with you, Leah Evans.
Oh yes, absolutely. We were all together, and I went to her wedding. Yeah, she's a great teacher.
Yeah, she's a great teacher.
She is.
Anybody else have any questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Hello. How are you guys? Am I good? Okay. Let me go get you a plate. There's a lot in there.
Okay. Welcome, Shady Spring Elementary School.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We good? So I just wanted to first thank our LSIC members. There's a lot of them here tonight, and it's always appreciated that they take time from their families and all the things. So you're so appreciated. Most of us have spent the very first full day in school in weeks and weeks with students who have been cooped up in a house for a long time, so we are tired. So I will start just by saying I'm short and sweet. You all know me by now. I did want to start just by saying, I've been in this position, in a principal or administration position for a long time, and I've done this several times. And this year felt different as I was getting ready to speak in front of you all, just because we just have so much at our school to be thankful for. We have so much to be proud of, and so it felt really good to get the things together for you all today. The first thing I had is, if you haven't met Miss Smith, I'd like to introduce her to you. She is our new assistant principal at our school. She started December 1st. Yeah, December 1st. It feels like she's been there forever. So we are just so appreciative of that you approved that position, and that we have the extra help at the school, and specifically that it's Miss Smith. So I just wanted to introduce her, and I said, you get to stand with me the whole time up there, so, bringing her in good. I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about different areas that we have in our school that we're super proud of. First, academics. We're on track for meeting and exceeding our general summative scores as we did last year. So we're right on track to do that. So last year we increased in all areas, in ELA, in math, and science. So in math we increased 9%. ELA we increased 2%, and science we increased 11% from the year before. So when looking, what I thought was interesting, of course we're proud of that. We are so proud and excited. I think what I got more excited over is when I looked at the chart that I gave you all in the report. I always like to look at data from way back when. Some of us say, oh, well, before COVID, or, we're having these problems because of COVID. But when I look at that, so it goes all the way back to 2016, our numbers from last year far exceeded anything that we had, except for in one area in science, but exceeded numbers even before COVID numbers. So we're proud of that, because that was a little bit of a hump to get over, the COVID time. So like I said, we're on track to meet and exceed the numbers that we had last year. To make sure we're doing that, we've just put a few things in place. So weekly PLC meetings. Our teachers meet weekly. They alternate between behavior and then academics. So one week we talk behavior, the next week academics, and we go back and forth. Intervention time, we've always had intervention. That isn't anything new, but what we've done this year is, in the past, we focused 30 minutes on ELA or math. So we would look at our data, what we were struggling on, and we would focus on that. This year, we've built our schedule to do 30 minutes of ELA and math intervention daily. When our teachers and when we talk, we always say that's when they get the best instructions, because it's on their level. That's when we get the heart of it. So why are we only doing just one? So we've started that this year, and we feel that that's helping a lot. Vertical planning, it's something my staff has asked for. We started that this year, so we've done it one time, and I've planned another one. And what that is we just meet with grade level. So let's see. So first grade would meet with kindergarten for a little bit, and then second grade. You all know that. And then they focus on, hey, what am I doing to help you, and what can I do to make sure that you're getting, what do I need to make sure they have before they come to you? So that's helped a lot. Some more things in academics that we're proud of. So science fair, we had 6 first place winners at the county fair that moved on to regionals. 2 honorable mentions there we were proud of. And yesterday they competed at the regional fair. We had 3 students get third place and 2 students that got first, and they will move on to the state fair. So we're super excited about that. Social studies fair, we had 6 first place winners at our school that'll move on to the county. Math field day, we had 1 student that will compete for regionals at the end of the month. And then we're currently finishing up our young writers thing, so we can, we expect great things from those kiddos as well. In the area of behavior, so our PBIS team is really strong. Really strong at our school. We've implemented, we feel really strong about those tier 1 support strategies that I know you all have heard a lot about through your LSICs. You know, that includes our school-wide expectations, interventions, incentives. We have that down to a science. Our whole school is doing it. So we are moving on. We're starting our tier 2 process. So we're a little bit ahead of the game, I think, but we wanted to make sure our tier 1 was strong before we even looked at tier 2. We didn't want to go there until we knew that we had all of those in place. In the area of sports, our school were the county basketball champions this year, so we were really proud of that. In the area of student leadership, we have a lot of different things that our kids are involved in. The first thing is student council. So they do all of my morning announcements for me. I say they make my job easy. They take our character strong lessons and they report those out every day. They organize events for our school, including like Thanksgiving, food drive. They collected over 3,000 cans of food at Thanksgiving that was given to local people here. They completely organize our talent show and Red Ribbon Week and just a lot more activities. This year we started, I had a 5th grade teacher that actually when we did Santa's workshop, noticed that our smallest kids needed a lot of help. So she started Leaders of Littles. So some of our 5th graders who have their work turned in, it's kind of an incentive for them. They have started going down and being role models for our pre-K, our smallest tigers. So it's a really cool thing to watch. And how do I say this? Some of our 5th graders who need the most behavior support try the hardest to get to do that because they like to support the little ones. So it's an incentive for them, and our little ones are loving that. So that is something we started this year. Our vision teacher came to me and asked me if we would be interested in starting a Braille Club. So that has been rescheduled a few times. The first one is tomorrow. So it's for anybody who, I'm going to take a second, but it's for anybody who would like to learn Braille or watch somebody, read. So I'm interested in seeing that because it's something very different. Something else that we're really proud of is our family engagement at Shady. So we're planning 2 family nights that focus on academics. We do all the fun things. I could talk about that a lot, but academic-wise, last year I asked my staff to focus on math because our math scores were lower. This year, since we raised in all, I said, you plan what you want, and we will just focus on academics. So we're planning those. We have a really strong PTO, as you all saw last year. They work really hard and support us in all the things. And then our library is completely ran by parent volunteers. It's open 5 days a week from 9 to 3, and there's usually 2 adults in there, and they run it for us, and they do all of it, just because they want to be in our school. So I have provided you with the LSIC summary, and I would be happy to answer any. I'm not one that sets, and I don't like to read that to you, but if there's any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer that. I did want to mention, since we submitted that and where we've had to push back a few times, our LSIC has met again, and a few things that they asked me to mention. The first thing that's not in the report, so our team really loved how the trainings were set up at the beginning of the year this year. They just wanted me to kind of mention that. They liked that. They felt like they had a little more time to get ready for the year, and they felt like they were being trained adequately. So they really liked that. They did say if there's anything that anybody can do to help us keep track of those 2-year trainings and 3-year trainings, because they're struggling on how do we do that, and I am too. So we all are. So I don't know what anybody could do with that, but they said mention that because it's hard to keep track of when all the things need to be done. With all this big snow, ice, all of the things, they said, you might want to, we never put anything about awnings over on our report. So that's something they were like, oh, that might be something they want to look into. And then they saw another school had mentioned about textbooks at the beginning of the year. And we know that if we look at numbers this year, it makes financial sense, send how many you are supposed to get. But many times we have at least 2 to 3 kids extra, and it just causes a lot of stress at the beginning. I don't know if it's possible to have just a few extra to start the year off. It would be helpful, but again, we know that some things you just can't help. We thank you for the support that you give us. As you can tell, we're just very proud of our school. We're proud of our staff. We're proud of our community, and especially our students. And so anytime we have a chance to brag on them a little bit, because they all work so hard, then we try to jump at that chance. So thank you all again for coming tonight. So, yeah.
If you don't mind, introduce your staff, okay?
Oh, goodness gracious.
I may put you on the spot, but we don't know them, so introduce them.
You all want to so Mr. Hockley, he is a kindergarten aide at our school. Miss Tana is a bus driver. She is fabulous. Miss Amanda, Miss Daniels is our gym teacher. Mr. Faber is our community, he is at Winter Place, is our community person. We also have, so Leslie Brewer, she's a parent at our school that helps with PTO. Erica Zimmerman is another parent at our school that helps with PTO. And Anita Stover is our kindergarten teacher at our school. Are you on?
I got it. One idea that you had in here was support for bus drivers. And I read that and I thought, well, that's pretty interesting. Could you talk about that just a little?
Yeah, so we have talked to Dr. Starcher, and I know she's looked into these things, and I don't know if it's even possible, but an idea that we had. So our bus drivers do such a fabulous job. I have a driver that drives almost 70 kids daily. I mean, so they need a lot of support, even if you have the best kids. An idea that we had, and so it's not really necessarily, we didn't feel like it's a position needs to be, like we don't need aides on every bus. That's not acceptable, and I know it's not even feasible. However, sometimes, behaviors come in waves. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll ride this bus today, you ride it tomorrow. We just kind of do what we need to. But what we thought was every school has an after-school bus person that stays after school for an hour. So we all have that. So we thought, gosh, if there was any way that we could have a few more hours, like 2 to 3 hours, that way when these behaviors come up, or a bus driver has a lot of things going on, that another person could ride the bus while somebody else stays at school to answer all the questions and all the people brought up. So that was an idea. Yes. Yes. So, because it is random. It's not neat. It isn't neat. My bus driver may say, shame on you for saying that, but I don't think, every bus needs that's not, but a lot of our buses are struggling, and it would be nice to have that extra support. It would be helpful.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
baby, so I forgot my bottle of water. So hopefully my mouth doesn't go dry trying to talk to you all. But thank you all for making the drive out to our end of the county here. I don't think our snow is going to melt until May. You see it all piled out up there. I have just come back from maternity leave, obviously there. But I'm going to go through our LSIC summary that they put together back in September while I was out. I went through and checked a couple of things. There were some numbers that didn't match up with what we were given at our principal meeting. So I'll go over that here in just a minute. But before we get started, I'm going to introduce the LSIC members that are here today with us. We have our music teacher, Ann Adkins, our PE teacher, Katrina Daniels, our 5th grade teacher, Tina Lilly. We have one of our aides, Jennifer Dickerson. We have one of our parents, Bethany Warman, and another parent, Kim Lilly. And one of our at-large members is Blaine Smith. He's from Chick-fil-A Harper Road. We have a few others that, due to the rescheduling, had some other events that were planned, so they couldn't attend this evening. So a few things that we are very excited about here at Ghent Elementary this year is our PBIS program. We have really tried to step into that as a county, as a whole, but we've really tried to embrace that here at Ghent Elementary. Two of the big things that we put in place are the Lion Learner of the Week and the PBIS Champion of the Month. So our Lion Learner of the Week, each week it'll be, one week it'll be pre-K, next it'll be kindergarten. We even have one week that's PE, one week that's music. And these students are chosen by their teachers, and they don't necessarily have to be the brightest shining star. They can be chosen for a bunch of different reasons, not just academics, not just behavior. It's, just if they stood out that week. Maybe it is one of our, little chaos drivers, and maybe this week they held the door open for somebody or was respectful to their teacher, then they get to be the Lion Learner of the Week. And the kids have loved that. So the ones who don't always get the recognition, they get a chance to be recognized. They get a little prize when they are the Learner of the Week. They get a certificate. Their picture goes out on the bulletin board out here, so you can take a look at our current Lion Learners of the Week. And they're posted on our Facebook page, as long as they're allowed to be. But they have really loved that. In fact, this last week we had music as our Lion Learner of the Week. And when the little girl's name was called, she said, "Me? Really?" Because she's a good kid, but she's not one that's, getting everything. So that has been great, and that's something that we're definitely going to continue for the foreseeable future, because the kids really love that. The other one is our PBIS Champion of the Month. It's similar, but it's based on behavior and attendance. Those are the main things. And those are nominated by any staff member in the building. We do have a K2 and a 3-5 each month. Scarlett would not get it this month. She has been calling out all night, so she probably would not be the Champion of the Month. But that also has gone over really well. They also have their pictures out on our main bulletin board when you come into our building, so make sure you see that as well. They love the recognition for the things that we don't typically recognize them for. So I really enjoyed that. Well, I say I really enjoyed that. I've only been here for a few days, but the kids have really enjoyed that, and the staff really enjoys it, from what I've been gathering when I'm talking with the students and the staff. Another bulletin board that I would love for you all to take a look at on your way out is our iReady diagnostic growth. We have two. We have one for math. We have one for reading out there. So you can see where our kids started in September and where they were in January. I love to see that jump. We have been making some really good growth. Our reading results, our median annual typical growth is at 71% as of January, which I'm very, very pleased with. And just looking at the breakdown between the grade levels, you really see the big jumps that our kids have been making. So I'm very pleased with how our reading is going. Our math is not improving at quite the same rate, but we are still making very good progress this year. Our annual typical growth is sitting at 54% right now, so we are slightly above that middle ground there for the middle of the year. And again, just looking at the breakdown of where the kids are growing, it's really, really great to see. Along the lines of our academic progress, if you look at our GSA data from last year, on the report, this is where the numbers didn't quite match up with what we were given at our principal meeting. So for 2025, our math was at 63% proficient. That's up 1 point from the previous year. Our ELA is at 55%. That's up 1 point from the previous year. Our science is at 32, and that's down 1 point from the previous year. We put a large emphasis on charts and graphs and things like that, and we apparently didn't put the emphasis on the right thing last year. So we're re-looking at science and trying to figure out how we can bump that back up. But we're pleased with our reading and math because we feel like we're at a good place, but we have a lot of improvement that we can make, and we're making steps to get there, especially looking at our iReady data from just this year. Moving on in our summary, if I can turn my page. So the LSIC listed their major concern as our school zone, which we've talked about a couple of years in a row. And I know that the county has been working on replacing some of our school zone signage and lights and things like that. But it is a big issue coming right off the interstate where we are. We did contact the Department of Highways about having school zone painted, but they can't do that because it's a hazard to motorcycles. So we had that in our report, but that can't be done. So we're really looking for some updated signage and some lights. We have one little blinking light on each of our signs, and especially coming from the shady side, you're coming over a hill and you immediately hit our school zone, and that's where we have the most issues. Going along the summary here with ways that we could use your assistance. We had listed further staff development for our split class teachers. We, of course, had some at the beginning of the year. We have 2 splits here this year. They've been going very well. I've been very pleasantly surprised with how well they've been going. I think what makes them successful here is where the grade levels fell as far as the splits are concerned. We have a first, second grade split, and we have a third, fourth split. So we have a primary and an intermediate. And those classes, because of where the grade levels that fall, are only allowed to have 12 kids in them. So our teachers are really able to get in there and work with the kids, and so that's how I feel that we've been very successful with our split classrooms. For next year, we don't really know which splits we're going to have, if any. Our numbers in every grade level are right on the cusp of needing them. So we're not sure what we're going to need, but continuing forward, we would like more training for our split classrooms if we continue to have them. As far as our personnel, every year we talk about needing or wanting, really, interventionists. I know that's a very tough pull, but our students, some of them are falling in an area where they don't need special education, but they need more than what they're getting in the classroom, and that's tough for us to work out with as small of a school as we are. We have staff issues. We've been creative, so we're still working on some more creative ways to do that. We're looking at some walk to intervention and things like that for next year to see if we can work with that. As far as our facilities, we would really appreciate having a restroom for our autism program. As it is now, they have to leave the classroom, go down the hallway to the shared bathroom that all students use for toilet training and everything, and it's difficult. So if there was any possible way to add a restroom for our autism program, that's probably our greatest facility. For our greatest accomplishments, for last school year, our unexcused absences, we had them listed at 698 and a half, which sounds like a really big number, and it is. But compared to the year before, when we had 1,079, we made a big cut in our unexcused absences. And that was one of our goals in our strategic plan, was to really focus on those unexcused. We've done that by teachers calling parents, our counselor calling parents, I call parents, our secretary calls parents. We call them all the time. We want to make sure that they're aware that we know that their child isn't at school. And our parents here at Ghent really are great. They're fantastic parents. And having us reach out on our end sometimes reminds them, oh, I do need to turn in that excuse, or, oh, I forgot to tell you, my little girl is doing this, or something like that. So we did have a major decrease in our unexcused absences, so we're very proud of that. The LSIC also has listed that our parents have noticed the positive attitude of our staff concerning our split classes. This was written at the beginning of the school year, and of course parents were very concerned about the addition of the split classrooms. And even though we also were concerned how they were going to work, because we haven't dealt with them, not in the time I've been here, but for, I don't know if Ghent has, for a long time. So we were all concerned, but the way the staff approached them, especially with the parents in the community, had a really positive effect, and it's been going very well. Some things that we are very grateful for, you notice our new floors out there in the hallway, in the classrooms. I know that was quite the headache to try to get done before school started, but they look really nice. We're very happy to have them and get rid of that multicolored blue tile in the hallway. And we also have new storage cabinets for all of our active classrooms, and the teachers very much appreciate those. The doors actually close very nicely on them, and they lock, and they're great. So we really appreciate those things that have been done for our school over the past year. Any questions about anything?
That it?
That's it.
Anybody have any questions?
I think I just note.
If there's any way we can give her that restroom, it is needed in an autistic classroom.
Yes, our pre-K and our autism room are right beside each other, so that would be great. Yes.
What's your enrollment?
We're at 178. We've had several transient students this year at Ghent, which we don't typically have here. We've had several students that have come and gone and come back. So that's a new situation for us here at Ghent that we're working through.
So how many kids are in your autism classroom?
We have 4 right now.
4?
Yes.
Okay.
We just added another one, so I believe we're at 4 as well in our pre-K.
So 8 total. I mean, the bathroom's great, and it should be there, but just the cost.
Right.
It's one thing to get you a water fountain, another thing to start jackhammering out there to put out sewer. Okay?
Absolutely,
You
yes.
can get your water sometimes easier, but Mr. Dan can tell you, it flows downhill.
Yes.
And that's what he gets into.
Yes,
So,
I know that is a very, very big ask. I know that's not a
No,
small
it's
thing
not
at
that's
all.
not needed. Don't take me wrong. It's not that's not needed. I guarantee you, we had other schools ask for restrooms and stuff. But that's probably one of the hardest construction things you can do on an existing structure is adding sewer or adding bathrooms.
Yes.
But that's something we can look at and budget. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate
And I'm
it.
glad to see you back, and
Yes.
you got a beautiful child there.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Oh, and thanks for the food.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, we had this big charcuterie. Actually, Tina Lilly put it together for us for the last meeting, and then it got rescheduled. And by the time we got this together, we were like, we can't do it. So, but I'm glad that you all were we were actually able to host.
Oh, is this a couple months old?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. No, we actually picked it up yesterday, so it's only 1 day old. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's all we have on our agenda. This meeting is adjourned.